NFL Sunday is starting in about an hour and a half, and I decided to go through all the games and predict who I think is going to be the victors, including Monday night's matchup between the Vikings and Bears. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to take on the Thursday matchup and the Friday matchup between the Eagles and Cowboys and Chiefs and Chargers, respectively. However, who I expected to win ended up winning in those two matchups. You can look at my account on Reel. That's who I predicted to win. It's who ended up winning. So I will take what I can get, even though I didn't actually say them. I did predict that, and they ended up winning. So we can add that as an asterisk point to my inevitable week one reactions by the end of this week. We will get started with the first game on the schedule and work our way down all the way to Monday, which is Dolphins at Colts. This is probably the most boring game of the weekend because there's like no anything. Like there's not really like this player's coming back to face their old team or this star quarterback is taking on a new challenge or something. But it's concussion man versus guy who looks like he escaped from a mental asylum on 1 o'clock on a Sunday. It's still football. Don't get me wrong. Football is obviously football. So I'm going to watch the game. Well, no, I'm not. But I will pay attention to the score of the game. But that doesn't mean the game is going to be good. It just means I'm going to pay attention to it. Now, who do I think is going to win? Probably the Dolphins. The Colts are objectively a terrible team. I think we all know this at this point, and henceforth are not going to win. So go Dolphins, and hopefully Tua doesn't die for the 1 bazillionth time. Then we move on to a game that has some amount of story behind it with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New York Jets. Obviously, we have Justin Fields, who was a Steeler and is now a Jet, and Aaron Rodgers, who was a Jet and now is a Steeler. Obviously, their most notable places that they ever played in their careers, as they never did anything else in any other locations. Anyways, so this is going to be a very odd matchup. I don't think it's really going to be a question that the Steelers are going to win, although I don't want to say I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets won, but it wouldn't be completely out of left field. It would be somewhat feasible, but I'm almost certain that the Steelers are going to pick up the win on this one. The Jets' offense is not good, and even with Justin Fields, we don't know how he's going to perform yet. The Steelers' defense is like their only redeeming quality. The Jets' defense is pretty solid, and the Steelers' offense is objectively bad. But they can probably put some points up on the board with DK Metcalf, who's just going to fight all the Jet starters and then kill them all so that it's just the backups. And then Aaron Rodgers can throw for 1 bazillion yards. So if that's what it takes to win, then that's what it takes to win. But Steelers are probably going to win this game. I doubt that the Jets are going to have a chance here. We move on to my first upset of the week, Panthers versus Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars are favored in this game, and I understand why. They have Trevor Lawrence, who's very good. Who's good. I'll say that. They have Brian Thomas Jr., who's good. They have a solid backfield with Bashal Tutin and whoever the other guy is now. Their defense is fine. But the Panthers have been doing something ever since getting Bryce Young. They have been working towards a goal of building for years so that they can make a push to make the playoffs. And I predicted way back at the end of last season that I think the Panthers are going to be a playoff team this year. I think the Panthers are going to make it. I think the Cardinals are going to make it. I think the Niners, I think I said we're going to make it. All those teams I expect to be in the playoffs this year. And not only that, I could see a world where the Panthers win a game. The O-line could use some work. Bryce Young's really good. They have a great backfield. They have a semblance of a receiving core. Their defense is somewhat healthier, other than J.C. Horn, because he's always hurt. It's not ridiculous to say that they could win. They could have an over 500 record this season. And given, they've been bad for a few years now. But if you give them these few years of like working towards a greater good, I think this will be the first year that they actually have an improved season. Because they've won, like I think, a max of like 6 games for like 4 years in a row. I think this is the year that they break out of that and win 8 or 9. So I think they're going to win in week 1 as well, even though this isn't a away game for them. I think Bryce Young is going to have a really good season opener and hopefully keep that momentum going. And even though I don't like the Panthers, I like the story that the team is telling with Bryce Young and the redemption and, oh, he was the wrong choice over C.J. Stroud. And we'll see where that ends up going. Then we move on to the game that I'm most interested in as a fan of the New Orleans Saints, as my father is a fan of the New Orleans Saints. Cardinal Saints in the Dome in New Orleans. And also as a fan, I also know when the team's not going to win a game. That's not this week. We're going to win this week. I promise you that. The Saints have won 6 straight home games, even when we were expected to be bad. We have won 6 straight week 1 games, excuse me. We've won them all. I think we can continue and make that streak go from 6 to 7 and beat the Cardinals in week 1. Now, do I think that this is going to be a continual thing of us winning games? No. But I think a week 1 win, you at least get that out of the way, start the season 1-0, then lose out if you want to. I don't care. Whatever you want, get the first pick, get a top 5 pick. Maybe you want to actually shoot for the playoffs for whatever reason. Do whatever you want to do. Just win in week 1. Now, the Cardinals do have a good chance of winning this game and a good shot at winning this game. We have James Conner. We have Kyler Murray. We have Paris Johnson Jr. somewhat. We have Marvin Harrison Jr. And then you have a pretty damn good defense to account for the other side of the ball. But I have that feeling that even though the Cardinals are going to look really good, someone's going to get injured. And that's what's going to cause the Saints to win. I don't think we're going to win clean. I think someone like James Conner is going to go down in the second quarter with 3 minutes gone by with a leg injury. And then we're not going to see him for the rest of the game. And that's what causes the Cardinals to lose or something. I don't think we're going to win this game fair and square if we do. But I'm going to run with my gut. And I'm going to be taking the New Orleans Saints to beat the Arizona Cardinals in week 1. Then we move on to probably one of the easiest first games, Giants-Commanders. Listen, the Giants are building a very fun team. Their quarterback room is ridiculous, but it's funny. They have a really, really good group of people to work around with. Penn State. What's his name? Why did I just completely forget his name? He was their first-round draft pick. Their first-round draft pick. Played for Penn State. I keep trying to say Jamal Lewis, but I know that's not it. Is Jamal Lewis even a person?
Jamal Lewis is an American former professional football player who was a running back in the National Football League for the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns. He played college football for the Tennessee Volunteers and was selected 5th overall by the Ravens in the 2000 NFL Draft. After spending his first 7 seasons with the Ravens, Lewis signed a free agent contract with the Cleveland Browns before the 2007 season and retired after the 2009 season.
That guy. Listen, I can't remember his name, and I know I'm going to remember it in 5 minutes. But the dude who played for Penn State, who's a defensive end now, I'm just completely on his name. Jackson Dart, even though he's not playing. Scadaboo, and then whatever they have built around the rest of them. And then for whatever reason, they cut Dulcich. I think he was on their team. Even though he's a pretty solid tight end, and they just went, no, we don't want you. Goodbye. And removed Greg Dulcich. Will that come back to bite them? Maybe. Greg Dulcich is a nice guy, so I would have liked to see him keep playing. But either way, the Commanders are going to win this game. They have a better defense. They have a much better offense, especially with Scary Terry and Jaden and Bill, even though fantasy Glazers are going to be inevitably sad when he underperforms this week. But we'll see where he goes. I still think the Commanders are going to win pretty easily. We move on to the next 1 o'clock game, Bucs-Falcons, the interdivisional game between the NFC South. Probably the Bucs. It's not even a lot I can say here. The Falcons are fine. Bucs are better than that, and they've won the NFC South for, I think, 4 years in a row, 3 or 4 years in a row. So I doubt that momentum is going to stop. Baker's still playing good. Mike Evans is a bit of an unk now, but there's Igbuka to make up for that. There's the other guy, Jalen McMillan, to make up for that. There's maybe Chris Godwin, although we don't know about that one yet. There's Cade Otton. There's a lot of offensive pieces for the Buccaneers, is what I'm saying. And then all the running backs, Bucky Irving, et cetera, et cetera. So I wish the Falcons the best, and I really hope they do well. Go Bucs. I don't like the Falcons. As I said, I'm a Saints fan. I kind of just don't like the Falcons. So the likelihood is I would be picking against them almost every week. But say la vie. Then we have Bengals Browns, a battle of two teams that don't have a defense. I think the Bengals are going to win this one. Their offense simply just has too much firepower for the Browns to contain, even with the Browns and the Bengals both being teams that are in the AFC North that use the color orange, that don't make the playoffs consistently, even if they're good or not, even though they're on paper like the same team. But the Bengals just have an astronomically better offense. Like their defenses are equivalently mid, other than like Myles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson, which kind of counteract each other. And yeah, Trey Hendrickson's not Myles Garrett, but you get what I'm saying. Pretty good D lineman, and then nothing. Although, if I'm being perfectly blunt, I can't name a single player on either one of their defenses right now that's not Trey Hendrickson or Myles Garrett. Because Sam Hubbard retired, and he's like the only other one I knew. So, great job, defense. As I said, this is going to be an offensive shootout game. Bengals are going to end up winning it because it's the Bengals, and they have 1 trillion weapons for Joe Burrow to throw to. Then we have Raiders-Patriots, all-star clash right here. Tuck rule moment. Hopefully there's no snow in this one. Actually, I love snow. What am I saying? I hope there is snow in this one, even on September 7th. Snow whenever. Let's go. Raiders-Patriots, as I said, this is going to be the Brock Bowers show plus whatever Drake May can conjure up. And I think the Patriots are going to end up winning, and Brock Bowers is going to end up having an absolutely ridiculous game, but still lose. He's going to have one of the games of like, he's going to have an Austin Matthews game if we're talking hockey. He's going to score like a hat trick and then get an assist to a couple along with it and still lose. And I feel bad for Brock Bowers because I know he's going to get like 120 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and do all that on like 5 receptions. But like, the Raiders have what else? Jacoby Myers. He doesn't get yards after catch. No, that's what's the other guy? He just stops every time. Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett did that. But like, all they have is Brock Bowers for Geno Smith to throw to, and I can't like. Then there's Genty to hand the ball off to, but when you're throwing the ball, all you have is Brock and Jacoby Myers. So Brock Bowers, enjoy your workload today. It's going to be a lot. Then move on to the 4:05 slate with 49ers Seahawks. This is going to be a very big trap game for the Niners because I think a lot of people assume, it's the Niners. They're going to do well again. But they're against a reinvigorated Seahawks team that just won 10 games, that got a bunch of new pieces in the offseason. Still a gamble, don't get me wrong. But the Niners are healthier now. They have almost all their guys back. They got rid of a few, like Deebo Samuel, but they have a Ricky Pearsall to counteract that Mr. Gunshot wound. So this needs to be a game that they win to prove that they can succeed in the postseason. Will they win? I'm not sure. I think the Seahawks are going to win, if I'm being perfectly honest. Is this because I have this odd liking of Sam Darnold? Probably. But this is not a game that the Niners can afford to lose because it will ruin their season. If they don't win, it's going to be like everyone's going to say, it's the Niners' failure season again. They need to get rid of Shanahan. They need to repatch something. The Purdy contract was terrible. Whatever they want to say. And I like Brock Purdy too. But like, I'm just rambling. So Seahawks to win. Moving on, we have the Titans versus the Broncos and Cam Ward and Bo Nix's first duel. This is probably going to be a pretty easy win for the Broncos, if we're being blunt. But I think that we're going to see a Cam Ward that is growing into his position as QB1. I expect him to have a good, 1 touchdown, 1 interception game, pick up a good 40 yards on the ground, and throw for maybe 170. Like, nothing ridiculous, nothing outlandish, but Broncos win 31-13, something like that. And then Bo Nix has an aptly Bo Nix game because he's already grown into that spot with Cortland Sutton and, formerly Devon Bailey, but then he's gone. And all the guys that he has. So Broncos easy win, but probably a good Cam Ward showing where you can see that he's growing and developing as a NFL player. We move on to the 4:25 slate with Lions-Packers. This game is going to be some heat. I still think the Lions are going to win. I do, even though their O-line is not as stacked as it once was. I do think they're going to win. But Micah Parsons is on that defensive line, and that changes everything in this game. Because beforehand, they had an O-line, or D-line, excuse me. So Jared Goff probably has some good time in the pocket. Able to wait it out. Okay, there's my throw. I got all the time I need. With Micah Parsons, that time just goes down almost every rep. It goes down by a second and a half every time. So he's going to be forced into making quicker throws, and he's going to be forced into making decisions that he might not have to make in other games because of the pressure of Micah Parsons. And given we did see that the Cowboys gave the Lions some trouble on Thanksgiving Day. Pretty sure the Cowboys won that game too. Yeah, because it was the O-line touchdown that they rolled back. So if the Cowboys with Micah Parsons can beat the Lions, the Packers with Micah Parsons, who are an objectively better team, this one's going to be a struggle for Detroit. And I hope I don't want to say that I hope, because I hope implies that I'm like a fan. And I have family from Detroit, so I guess to a degree I am. But I think that Detroit is going to be able to pull this one out, but it's going to be very tight and much tighter than it was beforehand, because the expectations for the Packers coming into the season, win in the playoffs. Now, it's like make the championship game, win the NFC North because of who they have on their lineup. Will they be able to do that? I don't know. But they're not going to get off to a good start because Detroit's going to beat them in week one. Move on to the second last game of the day, Texans-Rams. I think this one is going to be like a surprisingly close game. I've just got that feeling behind me where it's not going to be a game that's like a blowout in either direction. I don't think it's going to be particularly interesting, but I think it's going to be an intriguing one because you have a very good Texans defense, a really solid Rams offense, an adequate Rams defense, and a very toss-up Texans offense. They could be like amazing or terrible. It just depends on how their offensive line plays. Their entire offense needs the O-line to lock in. Because last year we saw what happened when they did. It didn't go well for the Texans. My friend Jackson knows this, and he probably has nightmares about it in his sleep. But if the Texans' offensive line can do what they have to do, they win this game. It's that simple. Now, will they? That is the number one question. I personally think the Texans are going to win, but I think this is going to be the closest game of week one and probably be decided by less than 3 points. And I would not be surprised if it was a good 24-21 or 22-21, because that sounds exactly like where this game is going to end up going. Then we have our last game of today, which is Ravens-Bills, probably the most notable one that a lot of people have been talking about. I do think that we're going to see Lamar take out Josh Allen and prove the haters wrong that he was supposed to win MVP. But yeah, that season's over. So yeah, your MVP discussion is also over. So focus on the next one, not the past one. So I think that the Ravens defense will be able to make up for, I don't want to say make up for, but I think that they'll be able to stop the Bills offense because the Bills offense is still somewhat shaky. Even with an MVP behind them, their weapons aren't the best. So I think that they'll be able to hold them down. You got Kyle Hamilton out there. You got 1 trillion all-pro linebackers. And I think that will be the crux of the matter for Josh Allen, and it won't work for him. And then, of course, we have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense. I do need Zay Flowers to do bad because I'm against him in fantasy this week, and I don't want to do our fantasy football punishment. So I do need Zay Flowers to do bad. So Zay, if you end up watching this, just have an off day. Just 1 week. Rest of the year you can ball out, other than whenever I face that guy again. But just this week. That's all I ask. But I do expect that the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens will take home the win in Buffalo. And lastly, our final game of the week on Monday, Vikings-Bears. This is probably going to be a win for the Vikings, although I wouldn't be shocked if it was a close game because I think the Bears have greatly improved their team. You got Rome, you got the other guy that they signed that I'm completely blanking on the name of. I think it was their first-round draft pick, another receiver. They have Cole Kmet. They have Caleb Williams. They have a very young but very upside offense. And then their defense is older but looks better. They've been doing a lot of we're going to sign a couple older guys here and there so that we can get some veteran presence, but we're going to keep the team mostly young. And I think that will work out for them in the future. I don't think it's going to be this year, but probably the year after that. So next year. But we will see where it ends up going. But I do think the Vikings are going to end up winning in week one. So those were my total predictions. What do you think? Do you think that I'm completely right? Do you think that I've gotten every single pick wrong? Make sure to let me know down in the comments down below. Also, make sure to give your reasoning. Please, I would like to hear what magical player you think is going to be an all-star out of completely nowhere. Some random safety that you're going to see get 3 interceptions that no one's ever heard of and then disappear off the face of the earth. I want to know. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, go whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future videos on the channel, and goodbye.